In this lesson, we will create a Java program with a Gradle from the beginning. Unlike what we had done in the previous section, when we first created a Java program and then added Gradle to it. Let's create a new Java project. File, New, Project. And I'll select Java project with Gradle. I'll use my existing project name, but I'll save it in different location. Digital coin price checker. I'll change the location. And we can also specify the artifact information. By default, the artifact ID is the application name, and the group ID com.coin.price.checker. I'll hit finish and open a new window. By default, our project created based on Gradle structure, which is similar to Maven structure. Now let's take a moment to explain our project structure. Under the source folder, we have main and test folders. And under the main, we can have the Java code under the Java folder. And under the test, also we can have the Java test code in here. Both .gradle and .idea files contain metadata related files. Usually in IntelliJ, files that start with dot tends to be associated with metadata files. And we have the Gradle folder, and this is basically includes the Gradle wrapper information. And at this point, what I want you to know about the Gradle wrapper, it's the Gradle way to make sure you can run your project with the same version without worrying about asking everyone in your team to use and install the same Gradle version locally. In short, Gradle wrapper allows us to use the same Gradle version anywhere we build the code. Build.gradle file, we have worked with this file earlier, and by default here it includes the plugins and the group, version, repositories, and dependencies. The default repository here is coming as Maven Central. You definitely can change it to the repository you want. For example, if you want to change it to JCenter, Gradle-w and Gradle-w.bat file, these are related to the Gradle wrapper. They just contain a script that runs on different operating systems. I'll cover the Gradle wrapper topic in details later in the course. Settings.gradle describe what are the Gradle projects are. These files is pretty useful and configurable for multi-project, which means if you have a project that consists of multiple projects or submodules, you will need to configure this file. By default, it contains the root project name. Now we are going to copy the previous coin price main program to this project and build it. So I'll open both projects next to each other. In Windows, you can do left click on the top and keep holding and just drag the IntelliJ to the left or right. And you can here open the next window, which is my earlier digital coin price checker project. This is the coin price class that we're gonna copy. I'll copy it and put it in the Gradle structure here under the main, the package name, com.coin.price.checker, and I'll do refactor. Now we can maximize our project. And now we see an error here because we're missing the JSoup dependency. So we need to add that to our build.gradle file. And under the dependencies section, we need to add that. And this is the short version to bring the dependency. The longer version will be like line number 13, where you mention the group and the group name, where you mention the artifactory name and the actual name, and then you mention the version and the version name. So instead of using these additional words like a group, name, version, you can use the short version like in line number 14. Once we created our project as a Java project using the Gradle build tool, IntelliJ added to the build.gradle file the Java plugin, and the JUnit dependency. Next to the JUnit dependency, we see test compile, which means this dependency will be called during the test compilation process. The test compile is deprecated now, and most likely it's going to be removed in Gradle 7. So we need to replace it with test implementation. Let's look at the Gradle documentation. And we can see here test compile is being deprecated and replaced by test implementation. However, the test implementation means a couple of things. Let's scroll down. Test implementation includes the test compile class path and the test runtime class path, which means the JUnit dependency we see in our Gradle file will be available during the Java compilation, which is the phase where we convert our Java code to a bytecode. Also, it will be available when we run the compiled code. Later in the course, we will dig further into these details. Now let's make an additional change. I want to change the Java plugin to the application plugin. Earlier in the course, we mentioned the application plugin includes both the Java plugin and the distribution plugin. And the reason I use the application plugin is to be able to use the run task. Also, I want to add the main class name property. We have added the dependency for the JSoup library, but we haven't pulled it yet. We're still seeing error in the coin price class. So to fix this, we'll go to the Gradle plugin and hit refresh. Now let's go to the terminal and run Gradle run task. Application ran successfully. We can see here the current Bitcoin price.